This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM. I'm Dustin Hoffman on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Today is Wednesday, May the 11th, 2022. Coming up on today's show, well, Riley Smith will be talking with the folks at the Iowa Cattlemen Association for May Beef Month, and I head out to an undisclosed location in Iowa to partake in the time-honored tradition of mushroom hunting. We also have your ag weather outlook and more, but right now, let's take a look at the markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, the markets have closed for this Wednesday, and let's see how things turned out. And for that, we turn to Jim McCormick of agmarket.net. Jim, how's it going today?
It is going well here. Dustin, thanks for asking. It is very, very summer-like here in northern Illinois. You would think it's mid-July with the temperatures, and you think the market would be reacting that we're going to get a lot of grain planted. But right now, that's not what happened today. We had an explosive move higher in the new crop positions contracts today, as the market is fearful that the window to get this crop planted is shutting very, very fast. The noon GFS model really put a lot of rain across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, which makes it very suspect if we're really going to be able to get the rest of this corn planted in a timely basis.
You know, and I just looked at the weather maps not that long ago, and they said Iowa's even got a chance for rain. Now, probably not as good as what you guys do, but, you know, for us, any chance is a chance, and so we'll take it. But, you know, we even got an increased chance coming up into this weekend, so I know there are guys that are going to be hitting it hard, or we might be seeing mud balls flying by next week.
They're definitely mud balls flying, but that's part of the problem right now. Dustin, is I think they're going home into the weekend earlier, last weekend, the thought was, wow, we'll get a lot of ground covered because of the warm weather we're seeing. But we're talking to producers right now. The fact of the matter is that some of them are mudding it in. Some right now are still not finding the ground acceptable to plant. So, each day we're getting behind that planting window, and the market's reacting to it, plain and simple.
All right, and what other, of course, we have the WASDE tomorrow, so I know that's going to have a small impact or a big impact, depending on what they may surprise us with. What are you thinking is going to come out of that report tomorrow?
Well, right now in the report, I think in general, you're going to see the old crop stocks a little bit friendly. I think we look for a revision up in the demand, so that should drive the old crop ending stocks down a little bit. The new crop numbers, though, Dustin, I think are going to be a little bit negative. Traditionally, the government uses the the surveyed acreage that they released in March for the planted acres, and they use a trend yield. Specifically on the corn, that trend yield's 181. Now, we do not believe that's capable this year with what's going on the planting side of the equation, but that's the number they'll work with. And if they, depending on how they make the demand adjustments, that could make the carryout look a comfortable 1.45 billion bushels. But I do want to stress, I think that is the beginning number, and when it's all said and done, you're going to see that trend yield drop potentially below last year's record 177. If that happens, the market really has to go into a rationing mode to essentially knock off some of this demand, and that gets harder and harder to do for two different reasons. First one's Ukraine. They're now very realistic possibility that Putin may try to grab control of all those ports in the southern part of the Ukraine and essentially lock grain from coming out of the Black Sea region. That's part one. The other part is the CPI number we got today. Inflation is still here. It was 0.2 higher than what the trade was thinking. It was down a little bit from last month, but with the inflation reading red hot like it is, that continues to drive investor money into the commodity market as a way to hedge that inflation risk. So now you combine an inflation risk with a potential smaller U.S. market, combined with production problems or export problems out of the Ukraine specifically, this market is setting up for a very volatile summer.
All right, and looking over at the livestock side of things, Jim, how did things go there today?
Overall, they're relatively quiet. The hog market continues to struggle. The weights are higher than they normally are for this time of year. Normally, they're dropping. They're not dropping. So that's hurting the hog market. The U.S. dollar in general continues to trend higher, and that's also keeping demand away from the pork industry. So that's hurting us. The livestock on the beef side of the equation, a little bit better. We are seeing a little bit better plain situations for grasses. So that's keeping some of the Southern Plains cattle from going into the feed, into the feed yards, which is helping support the market a little bit. I'm still a little bit optimistic. Hopefully we'll see some good demand on the beef side as we go into the latter part of May and June, because the reality is we've just had such a crummy spring in a good portion of the country. We just never really had that grilling season really start off to a good pace, as well as that outdoor dining. So as we start warming up, hopefully that'll keep the demand for that product going.
All right, a lot of things for our listeners to consider. If people want to reach out and discuss some of their market strategies and maybe tweak them a little or see what their options are best suited for, how do they get in touch with you folks at agmarket.net?
You can reach me directly at 815-665-0461 or any of the Ag Market team members at 844-424-6758, or just go to our website, agmarket.net, to sign up for our research trial.
All right, well, Jim, thank you so much for the insight as always, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for having me on.
And that was Jim McCormick of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at those closing numbers courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn up 13 1/4 at 788 1/2. December up 16 3/4 at 735 3/4. July beans up 14 1/2 at 1606 3/4. November is up 17 1/2 at 1472 1/4. Soy meal was down $3.60 at $397.90. Soy oil up $2.41 at $83.45. Chicago wheat up 20 1/4 at $11.13 even. Minneapolis up 42 1/2. That's at $12.56. Kansas wheat up 25 1/2 at $12.50. Oats up 4 at $6.03 1/4. August live cattle up 55 cents at 134.65. August feeders down $1.85 at 170 even. Lean hogs 72 cents lower at $100.85. Pork cutouts $1.25 lower at 106.77. Class 3 milk up 29 cents at 24.95. And that's been your Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, Riley Smith talks May Beef Month with the folks at the Iowa Cattlemen's Association. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AM/PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, May is Beef Month, and we show our appreciation for cattle producers in Iowa and across the country by partaking in their products. But it takes more groundwork than just grilling up a hamburger to help support cattle producers. Riley Smith talks with Iowa Cattlemen's Association President-elect Rob Medberry.
Well, May is Beef Month, so we've decided to talk with some Iowa beef industry leaders, and today we're talking with Rob Medberry, the Iowa Cattlemen's Association President-elect. Rob, how are we doing today?
Doing really well.
May's Beef Month. How does ICA support Iowa beef?
As a grassroots organization, we represent the interests of nearly 8,000 cattle producers and stakeholders affiliated with the Iowa cattle industry. Our members provide us with grassroots feedback, which helps us advocate for or against state and federal policies that will benefit their day-to-day businesses.
So, Rob, just how important is beef to the entire state of Iowa?
The beef cattle industry generates more than $7.32 billion of economic activity in the state. Cattle producers are the original stewards of the land, and we work diligently to improve productivity by conserving and making optimum use of natural resources. Iowa is also a leader in the export of value-added agricultural products, shipping high-quality Iowa beef to other countries around the world.
All right, so obviously Iowa is big on corn, soybeans, and grains. How are we seeing a relationship between the grain industry in Iowa and the beef industry?
Well, they're really closely tied together because the byproducts of both are used in both. You know, we use the waste products of animals to fertilize our land, and we also use the waste products of the corn milling and alcohol industries to feed our livestock. So it goes both ways, really.
Right, and as president-elect of the ICA, great opportunity there. You know, how are you looking forward to being able to represent the Iowa cattlemen and represent Iowa beef producers as well?
Well, it's a real privilege for me to meet the different individuals in the state and national legislatures. I just really hope to be a good steward of the accomplishments that the Iowa Cattlemen have done in the past in our legislatures, and maintain the respect and the hard work that all these other guys have done in the past.
All right, and then coming up, and obviously pretty topical as well, we have Representative Feenstra and Axney are currently pushing an updated cattle price discovery bill, and obviously, that's a big thing, especially for the smaller producer. So, what benefits do you think the average Iowa beef producer could see from that, and how will cattlemen continue to work for the average smaller beef producer?
The updated cattle market legislation would require meat packers to procure a portion of their cattle through negotiated means. This, in turn, would provide Iowa's beef cattle producers with a more competitive market, allowing them to capture more value per head of cattle sold.
All right, and are there any upcoming ICA events that producers should know about and be ready for today?
Beef meats that are coming up really soon mark the beginning of ICA's formal policy development process. The feedback shared and topics surfaced provide the guidance needed to represent your interests in this important industry. This year, we've also coordinated special presentations focused on a segment of the beef supply chain far down the line from our pastures and feedlots, retail. Broaden your understanding of their beef demand by learning more about the beef supply chain and what it takes to get your high quality product to the plates of consumers. The dates and times of these are the Southwest region will be Tuesday, June 7th at the Adair County 4-H and FFA building in Greenfield. Northwest region meet will be Thursday, June 9th at the Marcus Community Center in Marcus. Northeast region, Tuesday, June 14th at CJ Farms in Lamont, Iowa. And the Southeast region beef meet will be Thursday, June 16th at the Monona County Fairgrounds exhibit building in Albia.
And with those beef meats, just how important is it for our local Iowa beef producers to get out there and make their voices heard so that they can be represented the best by you at Iowa Cattlemen?
Well, it's really good. It's a really good chance for people to get face to face and talk over these different issues that come up for us. Again, it helps surface issues that may be coming down the line, and it's just a good networking situation for all of us.
Well, all right, Rob, lots of great information today. If our Iowa beef producers would like to learn more and get in touch, how can they do that?
We have Anna Hastert. She's the director of communications at the Iowa Cattlemen's Association, and the office number is 515-296-2266.
That again was Iowa Cattlemen's Association President-elect Rob Medberry here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith.
Thanks, Riley. Now let's take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, it's hot out there. In fact, it's going to be hot out there again tomorrow. And tomorrow may be the hottest day we deal with in this hot stretch. Let's take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for us for the next 24 hours. Well, as you can see, it's going to remain warm here for the next 24 hours. In fact, tomorrow looking like it's going to be the warm day of the week. We saw variably cloudy skies. There was a slight chance of some strong thunderstorms in the west, and we saw highs today in the upper 80s to low 90s. Now, tonight it's not going to cool down very much. We'll see mostly clear skies across just about the whole state, but there will be a slight chance of some strong thunderstorms in the northwestern corner, and we'll see lows in the upper 60s to the low 70s. Now, tomorrow, mostly sunny skies across the whole state. Again, there'll still be a slight chance of some strong thunderstorms in the northwest corner, but mostly not going to see much across the state. Highs will be in the low to mid 90s. Taking a look at the affiliate weather map, we can see that Cherokee tomorrow will be sunny skies with just a chance of some strong thunderstorms at 91. Shenandoah sunny and 93. Des Moines, the hot spot tomorrow, sunny and 94. Waterloo sunny and 90. Albia tomorrow will be sunny and 92. Clinton clear skies and high of 91 degrees. For more detailed forecasts in your area, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a rundown of your weather outlook. When we come back, I head out into the tick and bramble-infested wilderness in search of the elusive morel mushroom. This is Ag Matters PM.
As we approach planting season, make sure you stay safe and share the road with your local farmers. Slow-moving tractors with large planters occupy a lot of space on the road, so stay patient and follow at a distance of around 50 feet. You should never, ever try to pass them at a bridge, intersection, hill, or curve. It's far better than putting yourself or someone else at risk. So please, stay safe and remember to tip your hat to your local farmer this planting season. This message was brought to you by your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.
Welcome back to AM/PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. I was out today to partake in the annual tradition of mushroom hunting. I joined one Iowa family in the balmy conditions to find out what it is that draws people out into the woods for this elusive yet delicious fungus. Just like with fishing or with deer hunting, mushroom hunters have to know what time of day it is to go out and find their prey, if you want to call them that. Morel mushrooms are usually highly coveted this time of year, and people are always out looking for them. But just like with any good fishing or hunting spot, you never tell anybody where it is. We're out with a family today as they hit the mushroom hunting here at, I can't tell you where it is now, can I? What is it, first of all, about mushroom hunting you like? What is it that draws you to it?
It's like Easter egg hunting for adults. So it's very magical property to it. So we'll go over the same spot over and over again, day after day, and won't see nothing. But that one day you get there, and they're there. And not that they're just good size and everything. It's like they show up overnight. It's amazing.
How about you, Jess?
Yeah, same thing. It's just the excitement when we find them. It's awesome.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
I've been doing it my whole life. And my dad would take me and he'd step over them, and then I'd say, "Dad, there's one," which Maya did to me the other day because they're lower to the ground. But then we moved back to central Iowa in 2012, and I took Ed out, and he was hooked.
It's true.
I was out here pregnant and in the woods, bending over with each of the kids because they're all born in May and June. So it's been awesome.
Now, before you just go running out into the woods, there are a few things you need to know and some etiquette you need to follow when you're out morel mushroom hunting. And Ed explains, first of all, it comes down to having the proper equipment for gathering those mushrooms. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you do with mushroom hunting. You got the mesh bag. Why is that important?
So the spores can release and be, dropped to the ground. So in theory, it can, repopulate that way. Some people use plastic bags, and it's controversy as far as that goes. You can't release the spores that way, but people do it for years and years and years, and they still go to the same spot to find it. So
They're kind of a mystery.
It really is.
And for those of you who might be interested in going after these morel mushrooms, you might be asking yourself, where do I need to look in the first place? Well, it's kind of hard to give a definitive answer, but they give you a few options on what to look for.
I would look for pictures of them, like online, to prime your eyes, and then look for dead and dying.
Just get your eye just used to that, and then just go for your walk. Literally on the edges of, where they mow the lawn versus tall grass, they tend to be there.
And dead and dying.
And dead and dying. Elms trees, ash trees, May apples.
Yep.
Orchards. They like orchards.
In fact, the May apples that they mentioned earlier are a great place for them to hide. Jess explains where to look for them if you see a patch of these plants.
So May apples, they say they grow simultaneously. So when we see May apples, we know that the morels are probably up.
Now, would they tend to be underneath, or do they tend to be just in the general vicinity?
In the vicinity, but we have found them underneath.
Okay, it's almost like their own little mini rainforest.
Yeah.
Something else that comes with experience is knowing that there may be a few imposters that are not generally morels, but will throw you off if you're inexperienced. Young Mariska tells us the difference, just like a seasoned veteran.
The fake ones look like umbrella. Morels, they go right into the stems, but fake ones, they don't. You can look into them, but on morels you cannot.
Okay, here, you want to show us the difference between the two? So that's what they look, that's the difference.
Key soil temperature about 53, 54 degrees. Usually when it hits that, they tend to start popping. This year was early. We didn't actually hit those temperatures, and they're popping anyway, so that's the magical part of them.
So now, is there anything that when you're looking for morels that you would say, no, I'm going to leave that one because it's maybe too old or still too little? Or is there a size thing that is just not good enough to eat or not ready yet?
That's also controversial as to whether they grow. So we found the little gray ones in the beginning of the season, so we'll leave those and kind of come back to those spots and see if they've grown the next day. And turns out some of them do, and then some of them seem to pop out and just be there. So we don't know.
Okay. So, but when you're looking at them, is there anything, though, that you'll say, nope, pass on that one?
We always take them, and then we actually put them in our wood line, hoping that maybe they'll disperse some spores and grow.
We'll still pick it and kind of scatter it around.
I know there's a moldy one in here. We would probably cut the moldy part off and still eat the rest of it, or if it's too gone, we'll throw it out and hopefully it repopulates.
So just like deer hunting spots and fishing spots, these things are very secretive to where you like to hunt, correct?
If I told you where we were, I'd have to kill you.
I was told I was going to be blindfolded.
He's joking.
He is. I was told I had to be blindfolded and swear on a Bible before I started hunting with you guys. Yes. And then if I broke the swear, you would hit me with the Bible. So I get that. So
all in good fun.
And when it comes down to it, that's exactly what it's about. Having fun with your family and getting out and appreciating nature. It's fun for the whole family, and even little kids can get involved when they know what they're looking for, and they find just as much thrill as adults do when they find that elusive morel. In fact, sometimes they're better at it than we are because they're closer to the ground. And speaking of it being fun and exciting for people of all ages, I can tell you that I have only been out a handful of times with my parents and never had any success. And at almost 42 years of age today, I found my first morel mushroom. It is exciting and all of a sudden highly addictive. We thank the Lazinski family for taking us along to their secret hiding place for morel mushrooms. And I can tell you this reporter is going to be eating good tonight. Now, if you're not feeling adventurous enough to find them on your own, don't despair. You can find them at many farmers markets or even online. However, they do come with a hefty price tag. In fact, the low end of the price range has you shelling out $40 a pound. So my side dish of roughly 40 mushrooms would be costing, it's terrible at math, I wouldn't be having as many mushrooms as I'm going to have tonight. And just like that, that's the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and also find all of our video products and past episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget about our free twice daily market podcasts on Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.